Hi friends, this is Caitlin. Welcome back. Today we're going to be jumping into this beautiful layered ink blended mandala card. So I took a full sheet of white cardstock, I cut it in half at 5.5, and we're going to use that as our card base. Then I cut one of those halves in half again to make my A2 kind of card front. And then I cut the other half of that other quarter, down as well. And we're going to be stamping this beautiful mandala stamp set from Pawsome Stamps 3 times. So the first time I only am focusing on getting that center circle stamped out. And I am stamping with the Versamark embossing / watermark ink, and we are going to be heat embossing this with a white ink. So I'm just using one from Michael's that I've had in my stash for a long time and I'm trying to use up. I think it's the Recollections brand, but you can use whatever your favorite white embossing powder is. We're going to be doing some emboss resist with our ink blending, and then you can see them up there at the top. I have my oxides ready to go. I really just wanted to create a really fun layered thing with this. So now for this second layer, I'm going with that kind of middle flower section where it kind of has those rounded petals all the way around. That's going to be our next medium middle layer. And then the final image, that whole stamp, with the exception that this is a 6x6, so it's really like a 5.5 by 5.5 stamp like image. So some of it is going to hang off the edges of our A2 card panel. I just centered it up as close as I could when I stamped it, but this would be a great stamp to add to your collection if you want to try, or if you really enjoy doing square 6x6 cards or even 5x7 cards. I think it would be really nice. So I'm stamping that whole thing down now. I just centered it up so that the little kind of outer circles are hanging off of either side, but everything else is there. And we're repeating this process. I am heat setting in between each layer because I didn't want to risk kind of setting anything to the side and it messing it up. Just to be super honest with you, that's my luck. If I try to set them aside and do them all at once, something will get knocked, something will get layered where it shouldn't be, and then I have to start over. So I'm also stamping the I Miss You tiny little sentiment in the stamp set with embossing powder as well, and we are going to add that to just cut it out really close and add that to our finished mandala once everything is layered up. So I'm going through and heat setting like I said. Then we are going to jump into our ink blending. And I knew that I wanted to do a rainbow color scheme, but I didn't want to go with a super traditional rainbow. So I'm starting with purple and we're skipping red. We're going purple into pink. And I am using this tiny little detail brush from Simon Says Stamp. I absolutely love these. You can see all of my Oxide brushes are the mini blending brushes from Simon. I cannot tell you how much I love them. Slowly, I'm going to get more so that I have them for all of my regular inks as well. But if nothing else, get the little 2-pack of these teeny tiny detail ones because they are a game changer. I'm also going through and wiping the excess ink off of my embossing layer between each card, like each color scheme that I'm doing. This will help me to not mix too many colors on my brushes, but also it helps the white to stand out of that embossing. Where I'm going over with the spice marmalade right now, we're going to go back in a little bit and add even more of that. Once I started layering everything up, I realized that there wasn't enough orange there to help it stand out. And then for my final layer, I'm going to go in with all of those cooler tone colors. So we're starting with Twisted Citron through the center, then we're going to add in the Salvaged Patina to kind of blend through, and then those outermost petals are going to get filled in with the Uncharted Mariner. I should also say my pink was Picked Raspberry, my purple was Seedless Preserves, and then my yellow was Squeezed Lemonade. So I have all of those listed down in the description below for you and linked. I get all of my inks now from scrapbookpal.com. It's also where I get all of my Copics. I just love how consistent and quick their shipping is. I've never had an issue with anything I've ever ordered from them. So those are linked down below with all the colors listed. And then we're also going to bring in some matching sequins at the end of this, which I really think helps bring it all together. So when you are wiping off that extra ink, you want to make sure that you aren't pressing really hard. I've done this before and was like scrubbing at it, and I messed up my embossing. So I like to just go over it really lightly. I'd rather go over it with lighter pressure for a little bit longer than really pressing down hard and risk messing up my embossing. Now is the tricky part. This was my least favorite part of the process. I am fussy cutting out each layer. So when I was planning out my layers, I tried to keep this in mind so that it would be the easiest cuts possible. So that first layer is just that circle center. Then I picked the kind of flower ones because I figured those petals were pretty easy to just follow along and cut out. Now when I'm layering it, you can see the orange is just gone. All you see is yellow. So we're going to go back in with that spice marmalade and really just punch up that color on that inner part of those petals. I love how this turned out, but definitely don't be afraid when you're doing something like this or emboss resist or layering to layer everything up and just test it out to make sure that it's looking how you want. So I'm going to fussy cut this whole cool tone layer out as well, but I'm not going right up against the embossing lines like I did on the inner two layers. I'm leaving just a little bit of a gap. It was just too much, right? It was too, I'm down for some fussy cutting, but that was too much to try to get right up in there. And then I'm using my wire trimmer to trim out the I miss you as close and tight as I can to the sentiment. And that I did in the Seedless Preserves ink, so it's going to fit right into that inner circle. Now I'm going in with that card base that we made earlier and adhering down my main layer. The other two layers we are going to pop up with foam because I love a little bit of dimension. And so I'm just adding some foam tape to the back of all of those. And once we have everything foamed up, we'll just peel off that backing tape and pop them into place. I tried really hard to make sure that each layer was kind of lined up and kind of tried to take my time, because with something like a mandala that's meant to be symmetrical and like that is the design, you want to take an extra second before you commit and really press down on that foam to make sure that everything is where you want it to be. So once I got that into place, I added a little bit of liquid glue on the back of my sentiment and popped that right into the center. I think it's so nice how it incorporates it in and it doesn't distract from the mandala at all. I felt like if I put it in any of that white space on the outer parts, that it would pull attention. So I am digging through my Pawsome Stamps sequin mix collection. I grabbed one extra that I'm not going to end up using. So I went with Bubblegum, which is the pink, Campfire, which is the orange, Hello Sunshine, which is the yellow, Captivating Cactus, which is the green, and then the lighter teal that you see there off to the right. That is Sparkling Mint, and that is the one that I use. The darker teal one that's on the screen I didn't use. I just felt like it didn't create enough contrast. It wasn't worth an extra layer. And so I just had so much fun going around the mandala, all of these designs, and picking out where it felt right to have sequins, and just kind of color coordinated and worked my way down through each color, kind of playing with staggering them a little bit, and kind of anywhere where the curves kind of came in or started from, that's where I found it was easiest to go ahead and place a sequin. I added in my green and my teal and glued them all the way around. Here is our little collection. And I love to give my card a little tap to the side or flip it upside down before I put everything away, just to make sure that I got everything glued down and it's all where it's supposed to be. So that wraps up this card. I hope that you enjoy this as much as I did. I think it's so fun once in a while to change up your style and try something different. I've never had a mandala stamp before, but I absolutely love this and I love how it turned out. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button so you can come hang out with me every Friday for more crafty inspiration. I hope that you will check out the new Pawsome Stamps release that came out last month. There's even more newness coming out in June, so stay tuned for that. I hope that you have the most amazing week. Thanks for hanging out with me, and happy crafting.